And welcome back to Pittsburgh Sports Now, the Sports Drive with the coach Doug Biega and our main man PJ Latsko from Beaver County Auto. And if you need a car, which I do, we're going to be out here to Chippewa checking out PJ soon. But we appreciate you guys joining us for another edition of, we're going to talk sports. And first of all, PJ, I want to know, you got that tan going. How's that golf game going?
Pretty lousy. Pretty lousy, but I enjoy it.
All right, good.
It's a little wet out there on the golf courses these days.
Yeah. All right, let's start off with our Buccos here. They've hit a little bit of a slide, and there's two ways to think of it. Number one, they're underachieving, which I don't necessarily agree with, or the fact that they've run into the most injuries in all of baseball, which I don't know that anyone can dispute that.
Right.
Do you, we'll start off with you on this, Doug. Do you attribute their slump more toward injuries, or do you blame and question the ownership, the front office, on not supporting what possibly could be a good team, realizing, hey, we're injured, we need to help you out here? Which side of the fence are you on?
Well, quite obviously, you can't ignore the elephant in the room. They are the most injured team in Major League Baseball, and I don't even think second is close. I think there's so many more men game lost to injury than any other Major League team. So you can't account for that, especially when you are a thin team like the Pirates. Now, that's where we get into the debate. Are they thin because of just bad talent, or are they thin because of a lack of management investing back into the product? But you start losing guys, multiple guys, from multiple stints on the disabled list, months now you're talking, and you don't have anyone to take their place. You know, if you're a Yankees, you sign somebody and you have another 50 million guy in for a 60 million guy, you're fine. So, I mean, the old story is that the ownership is kind of hands tied behind their back financially. I don't know if I believe that entirely. But if you're asking me what I attribute the slow start to, is a lack of talent, number one. And number two, these injuries. You can't overcome those injuries. I don't care who you are.
PJ?
I agree. I think the injuries, because beginning of the year, our pitching staff, 1 through 5, was as good as anybody in baseball. Now we have 3 starters, 9 relievers. And the 9 relievers, you probably only heard of 3.
Right.
That's the problem. Now, you mentioned the Yankees. The Yankees have had tremendous amount of games lost for injury, but they replace it with guys that are really good.
Correct.
And they're deep.
If you're a player in that clubhouse, don't you, maybe not publicly, but internally say, hey, we got an okay team here if we're healthy. Don't we need some, don't you need to maybe not go out and sign a $50 million player, but don't you think it's almost human nature for the people in the clubhouse to start saying, hey, when are we going to get some support from the front office here?
Sure, but don't those guys kind of know where they are? You know, I think that Pittsburgh has a reputation, and I think that once those guys are involved in the Pirates system for a certain amount of time, they kind of anticipate that this is the way things are going to go. We have to build from within. If we're right there, maybe we'll add a guy here or there. But, when you're playing for the Pirates, you know that you're not going to be able to just break the bank and bring in an all-star team.
I mean, last year they tried to, at the trade deadline, to add players. And they added Archer.
They added Archer, right.
They added Kella, the relief pitcher. I mean, they went for it. Now, can they do it again this year? I mean, the offseason, they made no attempt to add depth as far as pitching or shortstop, second base, third base.
Yeah, you brought that up last time. They didn't address the left side of the infield at all.
They did not. And, I mean, you're going to have injuries. Mm-hmm. Pitchers are not going to pitch every game. The bad thing is all of our guys are hurt. And then last night, the one guy gets thrown out after 4 pitches. Now what do you do?
Now what do you do?
Put
in a guy who gives up 8 runs.
I mean, that's...
Yeah.
All right, next, speaking of moves, while the pitching might be a little hurt, banged up, the outfield's starting to, you're going to get guys back. Corey Dickerson's now back, and now they have maybe too many guys. I'm not sure if that's necessarily the case, but as far as you can only start 3 outfielders. Marte, Polanco, Dickerson, Reynolds, the rookie, and also have Melky Cabrera. How do you see this playing out? They're not going to have 5 guys here for very long. Who's the odd man out?
I would think the odd man out is probably going to be Dickerson, just because he is a free agent at the end of the year. He does our TV commercials for one of our dealerships. He's a great guy. What's he played? He's played 4 games. I mean, we were counting on him because he's one of the guys that makes money that we went out and got, and who's really, he's a really good hitter. Won a Gold Glove last year. Fantastic player. Third game of the year, he gets hurt. He just came back, I think, this week. I think just because doesn't have a long-term contract, and he's really good when he's playing, I think he's a natural somebody that we would look to probably move.
I can't argue that logic in any way, but the guy I see them possibly moving is Cabrera, because he kind of fits that mold of like a Bird that the Pirates signed a couple years ago, more years ago than we care to remember. He's an older guy. His career is on the downside of his career, obviously. But you can get him, if you're a team that's competing for a pennant, you add him, he might spark your lineup a little bit, add some veteran leadership. He's been around for a long time. He could be someone they look to move for a prospect. And if you're looking to hit a home run, pardon the pun, I guess Marte is the guy that you can move and get the most back for. I don't think Polanco has the value they thought he was going to have. They're not getting rid of the young kids. I could kind of see Marte being the guy that they could maybe, I guess when McCutchen got hurt, the talk was Philadelphia maybe inquiring. I don't know what they had to offer, but they're going to have to offer a lot for Marte. That guy's a stud.
He's our best player.
Yeah, and you put him, say you put him with the Yankees with their lineup, and you bat him 6th, 7th, 8th.
Yeah.
You're talking about a ridiculously talented pickup. So they better get something back. But Marte would be someone I would aggressively look for.
We're going to move over to golf here. PJ Sports.
Yeah, this is his place, yeah.
U.S. Open starts today, actually Thursday. Tiger Woods, he'll be the main draw out at Pebble Beach. He won a major earlier this year after people questioning whether or not he could do it again. In your opinion, was that a good 4 days, or does, and I don't want to use the word fluke because the guy's won, I believe, 17 or 18 majors. Was that just a good weekend, or at his age, is it going to be hard for him to do that again? What say you, PJ?
I think it's definitely going to be hard to do again because there's so many good golfers.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a fluke. I think he's back. I think he's going to be competing. He's played Pebble Beach as much as anybody's played Pebble Beach. Course probably sets up pretty good for him.
Right.
US
it's hard
Open,
for anybody to win it, right? It's not just hard for Tiger Woods to win.
There's
It's hard
so
for anybody
many
to
good
win.
golfers.
Right.
Kepka has to be the favorite, right? What's he won?
He's an animal.
He's won 4 of the last 8, I think.
Yeah.
But Dustin Johnson, and then the Europeans who we don't even know.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's so many young guys that obviously they hit the ball further than Tiger. They hit their iron. They're just as good. And the younger guys are not afraid of him anymore, like they were 10 years ago.
Sure.
10 years ago, he dominated. I don't think he's going to dominate, but I don't think it's a fluke. I think his game is back.
I agree with PJ saying 100%. It definitely was not a fluke. He played a great major championship tournament. What he is encountering now, I believe, is Tiger now is competing against his creation. Back when Tiger first started golfing, all the golfers were kind of the same. Now you're looking at these athletes that are golfing now, and that is a product of Tiger Woods. You look at Kepka, I mean, he looks like he could play linebacker or safety.
Really could.
And that's Tiger Woods' influence. No one can tell me any different. Tiger Woods was a physical specimen. He lifted weights. He did Green Beret training, Army Ranger training. Like, he did that stuff. And now there's a generation of golfers that saw him, looked up to him, trained like him, that now he's competing against. So he's kind of fighting his own creation. And it's not going to be easy, but like I said, it's not easy for anybody. I don't know how many more he has left in the tank. Maybe this was his one last swing at it and he got it, or maybe he has maybe 2, 3 left in him. I can't see him. He'll never be what he was. No one will ever be what he was. And I think a lot of that has to do with there's just too many quality athletes out there now that are golfing. It's not just the normal sport. There's athletes golfing now.
Speaking of Tiger, his impact on sports is obvious. The crowds, the purses, the TV contracts. Just a little fun question here. In your lifetime, we could bring up guys like Jordan, and some NFL guys.
I will bring him up. Actually.
Who's the most dominant, influential athlete during your lifetime? Would it be Tiger or somebody else?
Well, I'm 48, okay, and I have been very blessed athletically in looking at Mike Tyson, Mario Lemieux, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, in football, Joe Montana, Tom Brady. I've seen a lot, Tiger Woods in golf, but if you're asking me point blank, who is the most influential athlete I've ever experienced in my lifetime, it has to be Michael Jordan, not just because of what he did on the basketball floor, but he changed the way athletes were viewed, the way athletes were marketed. There weren't any sneaker deals. Dr. J had the Converse maybe, but there were no sneaker deals for guys. And Tiger Woods has a shoe deal, and that's because of Michael Jordan. He marketed the athletes. He made athletes more than just athletes. They were like celebrities. And by the way, happy anniversary. Today is Flu Game Day. June 11th, 1997, Michael Jordan scored 38 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals with a flu in Game 5 of the NBA Finals, and that's today. So happy Flu Game Day to all the viewers who know what I'm talking about.
It's pretty impressive.
It's very impressive.
That's why he's the coach.
Me knowing it or Michael Jordan doing that?
Both.
Right.
Both.
Well, the other good thing about Jordan, though, he took it from player level. Now he owns a team.
Yes.
I mean, he's been able to transition from the player, and then gives up basketball for whatever reason, comes back, wins 3 more.
Right.
And then he ends up owning a team.
He changed the way people dressed. Like when I was in college, people were wearing baggy shorts. No one wore baggy shorts before Michael Jordan. Like he influenced the whole culture. He was a cultural phenomenon more than just a basketball player.
So your pick was
Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan is there. I mean, how can you argue with Brady's stats, though?
Right.
I mean,
you got Ali, Tyson, guys like that too.
we've seen a lot of good players. The most, probably the guy that impressed me the most that I met Mike Tyson, and man, I would not want to get hit by that guy.
No, I would not either.
No, he was.
I want to get hit by
He was
anybody.
obviously out of shape and this and that, but he's still. His hand was like 3 times bigger than my hand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that left hand right there, that put a lot of people away.
Yes, it did.
All right, last question is we're going to go to Doug's wheelhouse a little bit here. Once again, for fun, watched the NBA championship last night. Unfortunately, what happened to Kevin Durant, but
That was sad.
let's have a little game here. The NBA, everyone's a free agent. Current team, you're your same age. Salary is not an impact. Team Biega has the first 2 picks in the 2019 NBA draft. Who are your 2 picks?
We're going to assume health.
Health is okay.
Okay, because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
By what happened
Right.
last night. Because my number 1 draft
Age
pick-
stays the same as well. Health, everyone's healthy.
Well, and that leads me to Kevin Durant would be my first pick. I just think he's an unstoppable force on both sides of the floor. He does not get enough credit for being a 7-foot perimeter defender. That is elite stuff right there. If you could defend the perimeter at 7 feet as well as get your shot. He didn't pick up a ball for a month, and he hits his first 3 threes like it's nothing. He scores 11 points in 12 minutes. Kevin Durant's my first pick overall. And secondly, I'm going to surprise everybody. I thought about Joel Embiid because he's a young center, and it's a big man's game still, I believe, but I'm going to go with Steph Curry. And which will shock people because he plays literally no defense whatsoever. But thinking as a defensive coach, I don't know how you guard those two. And obviously, no one else does either because when they play together, they win championships. So I would go with Steph Curry and Kevin Durant as my first 2 picks and just outscore everybody.
Can you teach anybody to shoot like Steph Curry? I mean, that's like got to be just natural, right? I mean, I've never seen guys.
He was raised on it. Remember, his dad was an elite
very
shooter
good.
as well. So
good.
you know, it's I've never seen anything like him.
I'm going to go with 2 different guys, though. I'm going to go with Giannis, the guy from the Bucks.
Right.
Did I say his name right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's 7'1", 7'2",
Arms forever.
guard. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you watch that guy? And just by watching this playoffs, Kawhi.
You know, Kawhi.
I mean, Kawhi is playing, but the only problem, Kawhi doesn't take over games. Like, I mean, he tried to take over the 4th quarter, but the last 3 minutes, he didn't score.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
I mean, Jordan would have, back in the day, you knew who was getting the ball.
Right.
He's not passing the ball with 1 second left to a guy in the corner.
Right.
He's going to do whatever he's got to do. He's going to shoot, get fouled, score.
Yeah. How when you have a chance to win the NBA championship? do you not? And
I mean, he was
shot-
double teamed.
They
That was
asked
a
him.
tough play.
They asked him that question in his press conference, and he said there were 2 guys on me. He said, I don't even think I could have got a shot off. And he made the right basketball play. You know, LeBron gets killed for that too, passing the ball. But you got 2 elite NBA defenders on you. The right play is to pass the ball. And people forget, and I'm a Mike guy, Jordan passed the ball to Steve Kerr. Jordan passed the ball to Paxson, and those guys hit some big shots for him as well.
Lowry was
Kobe
open.
passed the ball to Artest. You know, sometimes you just have to pass the ball because it's a bad shot, and you got pros on your team. They're pros. Make the shot.
How many shots did Robert Horry make back in the day?
Big shot Rob.
He wasn't the star on the team, but
Big
they were
shot
giving
Rob
him
made
the ball.
shots. They're pros. They're supposed to make shots, so you can trust. It's okay. I was never one of those guys that beat up LeBron for passing the ball. You got an NBA pro on your team. Give him the ball. Let him make the shot.
All right, guys, we appreciate it. We will be back next month in July for another edition of the Sports Drive. And PJ, before we leave, what deals do you have going on here at Beaver County Auto?
June's the end of the quarter, so we have big deals. We get 0% financing if you're buying. We always have good leases on the Rogues, Sentras, Altimas. Across the street, Jeeps are as hot as they come, and we have the new Gladiator. It's the new.
Love it. I
it's
love
the
that.
new
That's my next
Wrangler truck. We've sold the 3 that we got so far, but I just saw the truck drop off 2 today. So
Did you save me one?
no, we what color do you want?
Gray.
We'll get that. We don't have it right now. And
Put me on
Ram
the
trucks
spot.
are always a great deal. So what we have, I mean, you guys see, we got 800 cars here. They're all ready to move.
All right, guys, we appreciate it. Doug, you enjoy the vacation, and we'll catch
Have fun on vacation.
Thank you.
we'll
Thank
catch you guys
Pleasure as always.
after the 4th of July.
Sounds good.